Hello YouTube, my name is Nero, and today we have some Call of Duty Ghosts and another episode of Chem Strikes Saturday, which of course is the weekly series here on my channel where subscribers send me in Chem Strikes. And this is a pretty nice one, so running around with the IA-2 Marksman Rifle, which not very often Marksman Rifles were sent in to Chem Strikes Saturday, so that's definitely an awesome thing. This was sent in by a guy named Chance, who is actually on like back-to-back weeks now. He was actually on last week's episode of Chem Strikes Saturday with a very nice Chem Strike using the Bison on the map Freight, I believe it was. It was actually a very nice, very fast Chem Strike. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed that video last week, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this video just as much. So at first, let's start talking about the perks, because Marksman Rifles, they're a bit different. You don't see them very often. So the perks we're using, Ready Up. One of the most common perks that everyone uses because it only costs 1 point and everyone just seems to use Ready Up. it's a very good perk, you know. It makes it so, you know, you can pull up your sights a little bit faster after sprinting, so that's definitely helpful. And it's a very cheap perk, very useful. A lot of people use it. Stalker. Stalker is a very, very, very good perk. See, Stalker was a perk I didn't use a whole lot when it was first initially revealed to us during Modern Warfare 3. I really didn't use it a whole lot. You know, I didn't think it was all that great. Then when Black Ops 2 came out and the version of Stalker in that game was the adjustable stock attachment, I used that on like every single assault rifle in that game, like without a doubt, every single one. It's just a very good perk, and now I end up using it quite a bit here in Call of Duty Ghosts while I'm using assault rifles here. So definitely a good perk, makes so you can strafe around a bit faster, like move around pretty fast while you're strafing. That's definitely nice. Dead Silence and Amplify, the great combination. Silence your own footsteps, and Amplify will make it so you can hear enemy footsteps easier for all the sound touring. We've got Resilience, kind of an underrated perk, a perk I don't see a whole lot of people really using, makes it so you can't take any fall damage, which could really be beneficial here on the map Prison Break. And then our final perk is going to be Focus. Focus is a very nice perk. I definitely recommend it on every single class, every single gun. Maybe not on shotguns, but definitely all assault rifles, submachine guns, light machine guns, and even sniper rifles can definitely benefit from Focus. It'll definitely help you win a lot of gunfights. Use Focus. If you're not using Focus, we definitely want to use that. So let's start talking about the IA-2 Marksman Rifle. So throughout the majority of this Chem Strike, he really just kind of moves around throughout the entirety of the map. His team keeps taking the flags. You look at the fact that the score right now is 54-19. The enemy team is not really doing so hot, so he's basically running around. It's a bit longer of a Chem Strike because of that, because one, there's not too many people on the enemy team, and two, they're being dominated throughout the majority of the game. So it really becomes a matter of moving around the map, trying to find people, trying to find the traffic, which can really be the downfall for a lot of people. There's a lot of really good people that are like really good at Call of Duty, but then you just see like these really subpar games, and it's just really, you know, occasionally you just don't get the traffic. That's really what Call of Duty comes down to. You see some of the amazing Chem Strikes that are sent in for Chem Strike Saturday, and you're like, wow, how did that guy just get 25 kills in a matter of a minute and 30? It's like, well, somehow the way the spawns were set up and the way his teammates were positioned and where he was going, all those stars really seemed to align. He got all the traffic he needed. And I think finding traffic is one of the things that really can kind of separate a really good player from a really bad player, which of course, none of this is Chance's fault. There's 3 people on the enemy team right now, and the team is triple capped. So, you know, he's of course is doing the best he can. But generally speaking, people's ability to recognize traffic patterns and understand where the enemy team is at, even without the help of like a UAV or a Blackbird or a VSAT or anything like that, is really one of the things that can separate an average player from an above average player. That's definitely something. But let's start talking about these Marksman Rifles here. So the Marksman Rifles are new to Call of Duty via Call of Duty Ghosts. They're not, I wouldn't say they're game changing. You know, basically what Marksman Rifles are just semi-automatic rifles, which we've had forever. You know, we've always had semi-automatic rifles within the Call of Duty series. Those have always been a thing. I remember back to World at War, every single rifle actually in that game was semi-automatic with the exception of one, which was the STG-44. And the reason there was only one fully automatic rifle in that game was because it was set in World War II. There was only one fully automatic rifle in existence in the entire world at that point. So the STG was actually the first assault rifle ever made, and then before that, everything else was semi-automatic, so that was all pretty nice. But what they've done, you just noticed it right there when you got that one-shot headshot, what separates Marksman Rifles from your traditional semi-automatic rifle is the damage is about the same, usually a 2 to 3 hit kill at most ranges. Sometimes they can drop off to 4, I believe. But what they've done is they've actually upped the headshot multiplier on the Marksman Rifles to make it so, you know, if you hit them once in the head, you can usually kill them if you're not too far away, right? You've seen that back there. You got one-shot headshot on that guy that was laying on top of the crate thing, house, yard. I don't even know what that thing was. They use it in construction. It's kind of like an office almost. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, one-shot headshot up there. So basically that's what Marksman Rifles do. They're basically semi-automatic rifles, but a lot more powerful. I remember going into the Call of Duty Ghosts, they were explaining how it takes a lot of skill to use these guns, and if you can learn to master them, then you'll be a very, very good player. And I don't feel as though it takes a ridiculous amount of skill to use these. I mean, they're just semi-automatic rifles, and I think for people that are maybe newer to the Call of Duty series, the idea of using a semi-automatic rifle can be a bit more difficult, but for someone like me that's played a lot of World at War, and even some of the older games, I used the FAL, not even just the fully automatic FAL, but the regular FAL in Black Ops 2 was one of my favorite guns in that game. The FAL back in Modern Warfare 2 was a very, very good gun. I wasn't a big fan of the original Black Ops' semi-automatic guns, but yeah, I mean, semi-automatic guns have been around forever, and they're all pretty good. They're just really underused in Call of Duty Ghosts, and it's kind of mind-boggling as to why they might be underused, because if you think of the biggest complaint about Call of Duty Ghosts, the number one complaint, not from me, but from like everyone together, is that the maps are really big. That was like the initial complaint going into the game, was the maps are so big, it's so hard to find people, and it's true, the maps are rather big. They've kind of narrowed them down a little bit via some DLC maps, but for the most part, all these starter maps that came with the game, a lot of them are very, very big, and you would think a lot more people would kind of opt out for these Marksman Rifles, because you can take out a lot more people a lot easier at longer ranges as compared to using, say, a Honey Badger, or even an AK-12, which is one of the best guns in the game. But we got the Chem Strike back there, and we fast forward up here towards the end of the gameplay where he actually calls in the Chem Strike, and it was a pretty fast Chem Strike, all things considered. I mean, he had a hard time finding traffic because there just wasn't enough people in this lobby, but he used the rifle pretty efficiently. I would say this map, Prison Break, the map Stonehaven, the map Siege, I'm trying to think of some of the real bigger maps where Marksman Rifles really seem to shine. Yeah, they're definitely a viable option. Personally, I've used the IA-2, and I used it actually quite a bit towards when the game first came out. I don't think I've ever actually used the gameplay of it, but unlike our guy Chance here, I actually used it without a red dot sight. I like the way the iron sights look on the gun, because the way it looks, it just reminds me a lot of like an MP5, and it really reminds me of what like a gun would look like in Battlefield. So I used it because it looked really unique to the Call of Duty series, and actually liked it quite a lot. It's a pretty powerful gun. Definitely a powerful gun. I think the MR28, I think is the name of the gun. Definitely the most popular marksman rifle by far. But the IA-2, pretty good. The MK14, pretty good. They're all pretty good. I've tried out every single one of them. They're all really good. It's just people don't really seem to want to use them for whatever reason. They just kind of prefer the fully automatic ponage that the assault rifles and submachine guns and light machine guns give you. But either way, a final score of 36-3. I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode of Chem Strike Saturday. And if you did, please be sure to leave a rating. If you guys like to have your guys' Chem Strikes featured on next week's episode of Chem Strike Saturday, everything you guys need to see is on your screen right now. No commentary, no color correction. Try and render your video at a really, really good quality. Sometimes the quality's not so good on these videos. I'd really like to change that going forward in the future. I want some really great quality. Please send your videos in with some great quality. Upload that great quality video to YouTube as unlisted. Link me via personal message here on YouTube, and then congratulations, you have submitted your video for next week's episode of Chem Strike Saturday. If you guys like to go ahead and check out Chance. So once again, he's a returning guest here on Chem Strike Saturday. Last week he was on, and it was actually his first time on Chem Strike Saturday, so he's 2 for 2 so far with the videos he's submitted. Some pretty cool stuff. If you guys like to go ahead and check out his channel, it's youtube.com/ChanceIsABeast23, which is quite a long URL, definitely a longer URL, but one that you really might not forget because it's so absurdly long that it might actually work to his advantage, because you might just remember it better. I know I do when I see it because it's very long. But if you guys want to go over to his channel, it's ChanceIsABeast23, and you're going to find quite a few videos. He has just under 100 actually. He's been posting off and on for about 2 years. He's got everything from Battlefield 3 to Battlefield 4 to Modern Warfare 2 to Black Ops and Modern Warfare 3 and Call of Duty Ghost. He has a bunch of stuff on his channel. He doesn't post super consistently, but he does have quite a few videos on his channel of a variety of different first-person shooter games. So if you guys want to go ahead and check them out, go ahead and check them out. Hope you guys all enjoyed this episode of Chem Strike Saturday. And if you did, please be sure to leave a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.